Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy New Year. So glad to be here with Coffee Time Career Chat in the new year. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. It's a great way to start off the year. Coffee Time Career Chat is all about us digging in to the things that will support us as we grow professionally, whether that's in your career, whether it's starting your new business, but also as a person, as we develop those professional relationships through our networking intentionally and authentically, and just connecting with people so that we can get to the next level of what it is that we want to do with our lives, our careers, as well as supporting others. And that is what I'm here for. And I am your host, Patricia Hayes. It is so good to be back. I will be honest, it was like a little bit of a, not a struggle, but just kind of like, oh my gosh, because we took a break for the month of December. And so you got to see some oldies but goodies from our video vault. But we are back live in person with lots of great things on the way. So we're just going to jump right in and then I'll share some more at the end of the broadcast. So make sure and stay to the end. But as we welcome in the new year, I want to encourage you to refocus on your why. It's so common, of course, we already know, the new year comes and people are like, oh, I'm setting these new goals, not even goals, but I'm setting New Year's resolutions, which I'll tell you I gave up years ago. But, setting goals and intentions, which are all fabulous, all things that I agree to doing, and that's really important. But when you dig down into it, you really want to know why you're even bothering. And you're like, what does that have to do with, networking and professional development? It has everything to do with it. Because if you're going out there trying to, quote, connect with people and you don't understand the reason why you're doing it, it's going to be for naught. It's going to fall flat. It's going to come across as inauthentic, and or you're going to get tired or resentful. And so the same with our jobs, right? And our careers, we definitely know that that can happen there, where we will have those moments to say, I don't care about this anymore. So why should I bother? And we don't want that. So you have to focus on your why. And I say refocus because sometimes along the way, most people have considered the question, but they just haven't done the deep dive into it, right? And a lot of times you think, well, I don't have time to think about that. Well, you really do. Because if you don't focus on why you're even bothering to engage in what you're doing or moving forward on, then it's going to be, like I just said, very frustrating. And you're going to come back to it and you're going to do it from a space of scarcity, a space of need versus one of reflection and one of exploration and one of creativity, right? And being curious. And that's the space that we want to consider our why, right? We want to do it from creativity, from curiosity, from exploration and reflection, because that allows us to settle in and to experience some things that may still be uncomfortable. I won't say that it won't be uncomfortable, but you could do it in a much more relaxed way, right? Not one of, oh my God, this job is about to go. What am I going to do? And why am I doing all of this? All right. So that's the space, the mental space is what I'll say. The mental space you want to be in when you're asking, why are you engaging in something? And then when you're getting into that and you're thinking about those things, it is always, always important to consider your past actions and activities. Here's the thing, we always want to um, be present and moving toward our future. But even when there are things that are not so pleasant from our past and that we really want to get away from, that does not mean that we ignore our past, right? Because it's the foundation upon which we're standing right now, and that's going to influence our future. So the better way to approach it is with reflection, is with the here are the things that happened. Here are the things that I don't want to repeat. And here's the reason why. So if you had a not so pleasant into the year with your profession, with your career, with your business, whatever it may be, do the honest reflection of saying, well, why do I not want to repeat that? As opposed to just going through, like, I'm not doing that anymore. But when we haven't identified what it is that's causing us to have all of that angst, then we're missing an opportunity. We're missing an opportunity for growth and to reset the foundation for where we can move to next. Okay. And so sometimes that means having that little difficult, hi, Kim, having that difficult moment of saying, okay, I don't want to do that. Now let's talk about why I don't want to do that. Okay. So, for example, you know me, I'm always willing to use myself as a guinea pig to explore and to tell you, give you as an example. But there were times like in the past with an old job or career, and every time people were like, oh, you should go do X. And they're like, but you're so good at it. And we can buy into that, right? It's like, oh, because it's really stroking our ego. And that's not all bad. We're human. But when I go back to it and I sit down, I'm like, but I don't want to do that anymore. And I have to ask the question, why? I don't want to do that anymore because it's too constraining. It was too stressful. It's too lacking in real growth and getting to where I want to be. Hi, Andrea. Oh my gosh, these are great people. How are you guys? I'm so excited to see you guys today. And so here's the thing, when we say, I don't want to do that anymore because it's stressful, it's exhausting, it's not fun. I found myself saying that a lot in my previous transition from doing some of the work that I was doing, from lobbying, because people say, well, that's a high stress area. It is high stress. And I'm an attorney. I mean, like by nature, the work I do is, but it was still fun for me. And when it wasn't fun anymore, it became a struggle. And guess what? I'm done with the struggle. My words for the year, if you don't do this practice, I highly recommend that you take some time when you're doing this reflection. It's like, what is your word for the year? What is the thing that you really want to dig deep into? And for me, it is all about the flow, like rivers of flow, where they just come and, where it's just going. And that doesn't mean you don't have difficult times or you don't have challenges, but you know how to deal with it in the flow. And why? When things are in flow, it can be at ease. And I'm all about the ease and the flow this year, right? And so that means sometimes we have to take a look back to not just, quote, cut out people, but cut out those behaviors, those places, those things that were taking us out of where we want to be next, about who we want to be next, right? It's all about who you want to be next. And I love the comments, yes, Kim, constrained. You don't want to be constrained because that, even the word constrained, like physically makes you tense up, right? And the question, I know this is something that's really important for Kimberly, which is, does it bring you joy? Absolutely. Because all of the things that the conventional wisdom may say, quote, should bring you happiness, doesn't necessarily bring you joy. That's a lesson for a whole other conversation, right? Happiness and joy are not necessarily the same. You can have joy in difficult times, right? But you may not always be happy. And those things that we're told, taught to pursue so heavily, going after the title, going after the money, sometimes we have to take a step back because we realize that's no longer our why. And I am not saying at all that you shouldn't care about, increasing where you are in your career or your profession or your business. I have been there, done that. Okay. I have been working for over 30 years. I can't believe I can say that. And I was absolutely, on that ladder of pursuing success as defined externally, right? Also internally, but learning that along the way, how I defined it internally actually was more important because that helped me to stay aligned with who I wanted to be. And guess what? When you start shifting, and things start not being fun, things start seeming constrained and seeming harder than they should be to accomplish or to do, then that's this time to ask, why am I doing this? What is it that I want to accomplish? How is it I want to live, and how is it that I want to be? Okay. And so when you're focusing on that why, maybe your why is, your family. You want to really be able to refocus and have great quality time with your family, whether it's little ones in your house. I've got teenagers and almost a 20-year-old in my house now. Can't believe that. So those needs and focuses shift, right? um Oh my gosh, and there we go. Kim says that feeling is the notification for a shift. Absolutely. It is absolutely a notification for a shift. And so when you're thinking about that, or maybe you have folks who maybe you're taking care, you're becoming a caretaker in your family, or maybe you're single and you don't have family on either end that you're having to take care of or that you're having to raise, but it's about you becoming the next level of what it is you want to be, who you want to be in your life at this moment. Okay. When you dig into and acknowledge those whys, right? Those are the things we really want to take time to reflect on and consider your past as you're doing it. And as you're considering your past, what do you have to do? You have to come on and move forward to who you are now in your present and who you want to be for the future. What is it that you want to accomplish? How do you want to accomplish it? That's really important because a lot of times people don't consider the how. How do you want to do it? Because if you say, well, I want to make six figures by X age, been there, done that, right? So you're doing that, but how do you want to do it? Do you want to do it just so that you can have those, say, I've made, $200,000 in my lifetime in a year? And what is that going to do for you? Or because sometimes it can get to that point and you can have that number and you're like, yeah, but this doesn't feel the way I thought it would. Okay. And yes, someone's commenting, I can't see you, LinkedIn user, but it says, I want my why to align with my values and principles. Bingo. Bingo. Absolutely. You want your why to align with your values and principles. And when you start feeling that uncomfortableness, that sense of lack, and when you start feeling like something's not right, it absolutely means there's a misalignment, right? And sometimes we fight it, right? Because the reality is we may have those things in our life and our people who mean well, but they don't understand what's going on with you on the inside when you're in the middle of that shift. I mean, my goodness, I have absolutely experienced this several times, but particularly during the last couple of years and through this pandemic. But when you're going through major shifts in who you want to be and how you want to be and how you want to live, folks who are not in that space or are intimidated by you pursuing that and having the courage, because you do recognize it takes courage to do that, right? It takes courage to acknowledge who you are, where you are, and the fact that you want to be different and you want to do things differently. There was something that a colleague of mine wrote some months ago, and I printed it out because it was so powerful to me. And she was saying that it doesn't mean that you're better than someone else or whatever. It just means that you've decided it's time for you to live differently, to pursue things at a new level. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on who it is, some of those people can't be along for the ride. They're not ready. And so if they're not willing to let you be free and to move on, then unfortunately there gets to be that kind of crab in a barrel thing, and they're trying to pull you down to keep you in, and you can't allow that to happen. So that means you have to You've got to move on. I hate that word, that phrase, cut people off, is so popular these days. But how about release? How about we say we're releasing them for now? We're releasing them. And if they are, if they grow themselves and they're able to catch up and fly to get back to where you are, fantastic. But sometimes they're not. And so we have to be willing to release. Kim says they fall off or shake them off. I'm with that. And sometimes, you got to pluck some people off. You do have to pluck some people off. That's my analogy that I've used for years about those life leeches, those people who will literally suck the life out of you if you don't pull them off and move on, because they will drain you. Okay. And that's not what we want or need. I mean, think about it. If I'm to focusing on ease and flow, the last thing I need is someone literally sucking the life energy out of me, because I need every bit of that energy to push forward, to let the flow. Because whether you realize it or not, rivers and oceans or whatever, it doesn't look like sometimes they're moving, but they absolutely are. You hear about, if you get in the water, watch the undercurrent, because it may look soft and pretty on top, but underneath there's some power moving underneath. My goodness, I love that. I'm going to have to come back to that one. Think about that. That power that's within you, that's flowing and ready to go. And you have to stick with your why to make it happen. You have to you have to get rid of those things that are going to block that from happening for you so that you can move to the next level. Okay. I like the analogy I've used a few times before, where you're ready to fly first class, but people are still trying to either keep you in coach, or they're like, well, you don't really want to catch that flight, do you? And I'm like, yeah, actually, not only do I want to catch that flight, I want to catch that flight, be in first class, and do it supersonic, right? Be so, and everybody can't be along for that. Now, you would say, but what's your why for all of that, Patricia? Here's my why. I am all about impacting people at the next level. Impact in my community, in my family, in the work that I do, helping people to realize and recognize the power that they have within to achieve their next level goals. That is it. Like, that is what I want to do. That is what brings me joy. That is what gets me up and gets that energy going when I'd much rather be sitting on a couch somewhere drinking some more coffee, right? What is that that's driving you? And that's my why. It used to be all about the money and the title. And I realized, I'm like, I can make up my own titles. I've done that, right? I don't care about the title. You can keep the title. I can make up my own title. I've done that. Okay. It's, what about the money? Well, yes, I got to live. And guess what? But when I'm pursuing my why and I'm aligned in that space, guess what? Flow. We already talked about the flow. When you shift, it's not always pretty and it's not always easy, but that doesn't mean that it's not meant to be. Okay. It is absolutely still meant to be. And you have to get out of that old space, that old mindset, reset, refocus on why you're doing what you're doing, and let's go. Okay. And when you're doing that at the next level, for me, that impact can be continuing to speak, continuing to engage in programs that help people recognize that they can achieve whatever goals that they want at the next level. But for me, it's not about just getting that next dollar, but helping people realize you can achieve at the next level. You can connect with the right people who will support you in your next level goals by doing it authentically and intentionally. That's the foundation upon which I base it, right? And that means you got to get ready to move in alignment, in an aligned fashion, and a shift. Doesn't mean you have to come to me already aligned, but you got to know there's some misalignment here. I need help to get it back in shape, get it back on track, and let's go. But that's what I love to do. And you can say, well, how is that relevant for what you were doing? Guess what? It's what I was doing. This is just a new level, a new way of doing it. I spent so many years working in education policy, which I still love, doing legislation because it included advocacy. I'm an advocate at heart. but I'm advocating in a different way. I'm advocating for your personal development. I'm advocating for your achievement at the next level. I'm advocating for me to get there, to move so that I can be a model for those people coming behind who can say, guess what? Patricia did it. I'm going to try to, right? That's that impact. You can still be an advocate. You can still be someone who educates and helps, but it's just doing it at a different level. So, what is your why? What is your why? That's my question for you today. That's the question for the year. So, you're going to be hearing us come back to this all year long because I want you to stay focused on why it is you're doing what you're doing. Because on some of those things, I can teach you the how. I can teach you the how of networking effectively, of networking authentically, of building professional relationships that will take you to that next level. I can help support you in that, but I cannot define your why. I can help you shape it. I can help you find out, discover what that is for yourself. But ultimately, no one can do that for you. You have to do it for yourself. So I encourage you that this week that you kick that off and you start digging into refocusing on what it is, what's your why for moving forward, for moving into the spaces that you're looking forward to doing, and recognizing that when you're in the flow of it, those things may change, they may shift, and that is not just okay, it is expected when you are flowing to the next level of who it is you want to be. All right, that's it, you guys. I'm so excited. So excited to be starting this year off with you all. Thank you for everyone who's joined in. Okay, so here are the goodies that are coming. So I promised to make sure and let you know. And Kimberly, I want to go to law school like you. Yes, we'll talk about that. um, the here are a couple of things. So talking about shifting and growing and getting to the next level. So many different things going on here that I can't wait to share with you. And the first thing that you're going to get to share pretty quickly is coffee chats are shifting, not changing. So we're going to still do Mondays and Wednesdays, Mondays live, Wednesdays. You're welcome. You're welcome. Wednesdays it's going to be pre-recorded, and unless I can get a live in every once in a while, pardon me. But we're adding a new element, and I am going to start doing some interview chats for coffee time. So I'm going to be sharing, pulling in some wonderful people that I've met along the way, especially in the last year, but even from beyond that, who are just going to be willing to sit and chat and talk about what it looked like for them to build and grow in their profession, in their business, in their career, and how they use and utilize professional relationship building to make that happen. Okay. So that's what, hey, Deanna, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. That's what you're going to be looking forward to on the coffee time shifts for this year. Okay. So on Mondays, we're still going to be talking about all things networking, some career development, how that flows. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to be starting to dive into some one-on-one interview conversations. That'll be quick, not long and drawn out, because we are also launching a podcast that is separate from the live this year. I'm super excited about that. And so stay tuned for that, as well as continuing with the programmatic work that we do and that I do and that I've said and shared. And so I'm super excited about launching the Empowered Connections 6-month networking program. And that is underway as well and ready to get started, where you get to spend more quality time with me with it, and getting access to all the lovely content I've built up over the years, as well as making sure that you can get some one-on-one, or should I say group coaching, and get some direct input to what's going on with you in your profession, your career, your business in a relevant and timely manner. So super excited about that. Let me know if you're interested. And of course, always one-on-ones I'm always scheduling those. Check in, let me know. Some of those things are not changing or shifting. There's just going to be a difference in access on some of it so that I can, again, remember my one of my whys is focusing on impact. So I want to make sure that I make that impact, and that I can do so. In order for me to do so means reaching out and being able to make sure I'm available to more of you. So lots of things on the horizon. I'll be letting you know. If you're not on the newsletter or the email, go to the website, patriciavhayes.com, and join there. And so we'll get you on the newsletter so that you can keep up. You'll get that. I don't blast people. You probably get about 2 emails a week from me, sometimes just one, but I do try to stay. That's a great way to stay up to date, as well as on all of the social media channels. Thank you. Thank you. It's been fantastic. I'm looking forward. Please, 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 in the comments or DM me what it is you are looking forward to learning more about this year, because it only matters if I'm able to give you the content that impacts you and your life right now, today. All right. And that's what we want to focus on. So thank you for joining. I'm looking forward to continuing to grow with you in 2022. Have a fantastic day and rest of your week, everyone. Bye-bye.